Hey guys, it's Rachel from Hope Corner Farm. By day, I'm a home ec teacher who teaches hundreds of students how to crochet, and today I'm going to teach you how to crochet the thermal double crochet stitch. It's a lovely thick stitch that works up pretty quickly. If you can chain and double crochet, you can crochet this stitch. Ready to learn? Let's grab a hook and some yarn and we'll get crocheting. Before we get started, make sure you subscribe to my channel, hit the bell so you get notifications of when I post new videos, and don't forget to give me some feedback on this video. Give me a like or a comment, let me know what I did well or things that I could improve upon. So for today's tutorial, the thermal double crochet stitch, first off, it is in US crochet terms. Secondly, for this tutorial, I'm going to use a size H 5.0 millimeter crochet hook. I am also going to use Lion Brand 24/7 cotton yarn. So for the thermal double crochet stitch, you begin with any multiple or any number of chains that you would like. So there are no particular stitch counts. You literally can chain whatever number you need to crochet the thermal double crochet stitch. So here I've got 12 chains that we're going to start into. Now if you need to see how to chain in slower, more detailed moves, I've got a link to a video below that takes that a lot slower. So the difference here with how to start the thermal double crochet, a traditional double crochet stitch, I would hold my chain like this and I would work into my chain in this direction, usually picking up 1 or 2 loops. Now to start the thermal double crochet, I'm actually going to flip it just slightly and I'm going to work into the back bumps of my chain. So instead of working into it like this, I am going to flip it so I'm working into those back bumps of my chain. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to yarn over. Again, I'm turning my chain slightly so I can work into that back bump. I've yarned over. I'm going to work into the back bump in the second chain. So not the first one, but into the second chain. Again, I'm flipping it so I can work into that back bump. And I'm going to pick up the back bump only, insert my hook, yarn over, pull through. Now I've got 3 loops on my hook, yarn over, pull through 2 of those loops. Now I've got 2 loops on my hook, yarn over, pull through 2. And that completes one of the double crochets. I'm going to continue doing this across the row. So I yarn over, insert into the back bump only, yarn over, pull through. Now I've got 3 loops on my hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Now I've got 2 loops on my hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. I'm going to continue working across the chain here into the back bumps only, and that'll complete row 1. So I had 12 chains here. I'm losing 1 here because I'm working into the second chain from the hook. So I'm going to end up with 11 double crochets here. Now with the thermal half double crochet stitch, just like any of the others, you need to make sure to keep your stitch count the same. If you notice that suddenly you've lost or gained a stitch, something went wonky there, and you need to make sure to go back and figure out exactly where your mistake happened. So again, I started with 12 chains. I'm going to end up with 11 stitches here across the row. Again, working into that back bump only. I've got 2 more left here, and I'll show you one more time how this looks. So here I am to my last chain. Again, I'm working into this back bump only. A traditional chain start, I would flip it and would be working it this way. So let's say I was doing a regular double crochet. I'd work it, I'd pop in here, and I'd have 2 loops on my hook. I don't want to do that. I'm flipping it over. I'm picking up this back bump only. I've yarned over. I'm going to insert into that back bump only. I'm going to yarn over, pull through. Now I've got 3 loops on my hook. Yarn over, pull through 2. Now I've got 2 loops left on my hook, yarn over, pull through 2. I might tighten my chain right there, and that completes the first row of thermal double crochet stitches. Now we're ready to move on to the second row. Before we move on to row 2, I just wanted to point out that, remember I said we should be down to a stitch count of 11 for this example here because I changed 12. So if I count this, we're going to have each V counts as 1 stitch, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. So I kept my stitch count correct. Remember, we lose 1 because we start in the second chain from the hook. So now with row 2, this is where the thermal double crochet starts looking different. You crochet it differently than you would a regular double crochet stitch. So if I were to do a traditional double crochet stitch, I would begin by chaining 2, I would be turning my work and I would be working across this direction. We do not do that with the thermal double crochet stitch. So I'm going to go back here. Now, for a thermal double crochet stitch row, I'm only going to chain one first off. I am not doing any turning. I am actually going to work down my work this direction. So again, I am not turning and flipping my work so it's like this. This is incorrect. I'm actually just going to be working down this way. Now here's where it gets a little tricky. Again, I've chained one. We are going to be working in the parallel stitches. So I'm going to be working in this loop only. So that's technically my back loop, because if I were to turn my work here, this is the front loop, this is the back loop. It still kind of stays the same, but we're going to be working in this loop right here only. So just one of them, and this loop only. So this loop and this loop are going to get crocheted together. This loop and this loop will be crocheted together. This one and that one. I'll pop a picture up here that shows you what I'm talking about. I'll have arrows connecting the parallel spots. So again, that's what helps make this the thermal or the double thick, because you're kind of folding your work in half as you go, and that's what helps make this a thicker stitch. So again, for row one, I only chain one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by yarning over. I'm going to have to come back here and come down in the top of that stitch and pick up only that one loop. So I've picked up that one loop. I'm going to come over here and pick up its parallel partner right here. So now it looks like I've got 4 loops on my hook. I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to pull through the first loop and the second loop. So those 2 loops that we have together. Now I've got 3 loops on my hook. I'm going to yarn over, pull through 2 of the loops. Now I've got 2 loops left on my hook. I'm going to yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and that completes one thermal double crochet. Now you have to be really, really careful as you go into your next ones, because especially this first row, it gets a little bit hard to see what you're crocheting together. So we're going to yarn over. Now, your inclination would be to go right here, but if you look, that's that first loop that you already have worked a double crochet into. So we're not going into this loop, we're going into the next one. So you really have to look at it, and if you can see that you've already crocheted into that loop, hopefully you can see that if I bring that here, you don't want to put a second one in there. So keep your loop on your hook, yarn over. We're going to go into the next stitch right here, pick up that one loop. We're again going to pay attention and come across and pick up its parallel partner right here. So now we've got 4 loops on the hook. Yarn over, pull through the 2 loops. Now you have 3 left on your hook. Yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Now you've got 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Then we're going to continue. So again, being very careful to not work into the ones we've already worked into. So yarn over, this loop, this loop. It'll get a little easier to see the more rows you do. The first row of actual thermal double crochets is a little hard to see, but it gets a little easier as you go. So again, yarn over, pick up the loop you're supposed to, pick up its parallel partner, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Now you got 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, pick up the loop, pick up its partner, pull through both of them, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So we're going to keep working down the row here. Again, you can kind of tell that this loop has already been worked into, so you need to make sure to go into the next one, pick up its partner from across the road, pull through both of those, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, loop, and loop, whoops, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. We're almost to the end of this row here. The last stitch can be a little bit funky, so I'll kind of hurry across here so I can get the very last stitch and show you what that looks like for this row here. So we have one more left here after this. So the last stitch, because we kind of have gotten to the end where it's really smushed together, can be sometimes a little hard to see, but we're picking up this loop and this loop. So we yarn over, we're going to pick up this loop here and its parallel partner right there. So that's what that looks like right there. We are going to yarn over, pull through 2 loops, So again, we've got 4 on our hook. We're going to yarn over, pull through 2. It's going to leave us with 3 loops. Yarn over, pull through 2 of them. Yarn over, pull through 2 of them. And that completes row 2. So just like after row 1, you might want to double check your stitch count to make sure that it is where it still needs to be. I should still be at 11 for the number that I have. Notice here I've got kind of 2 edges. We're going to work into this here with the next row, but we're counting, if you want to count, this is the row that you count. So here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 stitches. So I've kept my stitch count the same, and that is row 2. Now row 3 and beyond are all worked about the same way. I'll show you row 3, and then I will show you a row farther down the project so you can see what that looks like the longer and the bigger our projects get. So we're going to work row 3 here. And just like row 2, we are not going to chain and turn like we normally would. So this is incorrect. So again, we're going to work down this direction. So I'm going to put another picture up here that's going to show you the loops that you're working into. And just like with row 2, you are working into parallel loops. So if I take my crochet hook off here, this loop works with that one, this one with that one, this one with that one, and so on. Again, take a look at that picture right here. And that shows you how to work this. So just like row 2, we start by chaining 1, but we are not turning. Again, we're going to work down this direction. So I've chained 1. I'm going to yarn over. I'm going to come back up in here. So again, I've yarned over. I'm working back up in here, picking up that loop. Then I'm going to come across and pick up its parallel partner. So again, I've got 4 loops on the hook. I'm going to yarn over. I'm going to pull through 2 loops. Now I've got 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, pull through 2 to complete one of the thermal double crochets. Next one, yarn over. Again, do not work into the same loops, move to the next one. So I've yarned over, I'm going to work into that loop and this loop, again picking up singular loops only. You should not be picking up both of these. Okay, so you should not look like that. That is incorrect. We want to look like this. Yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Yarn over, pull through 2 loops. And you would just keep working down the row, quite literally down the row, just like that. Yarn over, insert into those 2 loops, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So I'll hurry here to the end and I'll show you what the end of this row looks like. So again, when you get to the very last stitch, sometimes it can be a little hard to see what loops you are working into because things kind of get squished together because again, we're almost folding the work in half to make it a double thick stitch, which is what makes it a great thermal stitch because it's double thick. So it gives more heat resistance or holds more heat in depending on what project you're using it for. In essence, it's just giving you a thicker fabric. But because of that, it gets a little hard to see when you get into the very last stitch of the row here. So again, yarn over this stitch and this stitch, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2. So I've got 1 left here, so I will yarn over. Now, do you see how hard this is to see in here? Where the heck am I working? So you really have to be careful, kind of maybe make it stretch out a little bit. We are working right here into this loop right here, so I would come down, there's the V from that last stitch. So again, I'm just picking up one of those loops right there, and its parallel partner is right here. So that's where you would work that into. So again, I've yarned over, I'm coming down and I'm picking up just that loop and that loop. So just 2 of them right here. So here, here. Yarn over, pull through both of those loops. Now there's 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And that completes row 3. So here it is kind of from the back side. Here it is from the front side. So again, the next row you're going to squeeze these 2 rows together here to kind of create the double thick. Again, if you want to count the stitches, you can look at the top here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And especially that last stitch is going to be the one that kind of hangs you up the most, that you're going to have the hardest time finding. So I'm going to do a few more rows and I'll show you what it looks like when it gets a little bigger, a little thicker, maybe a little harder to see, and then I'll show you a final row as well. So you're going to keep on thermal double crocheting for as long as you need. Now, the farther you get, the more you're going to have to kind of bunch your fabric in your hand because you are holding it differently than you normally would. So if we were doing just another row here, I would chain one, yarn over, work my first thermal double crochet stitch. But again, notice how I'm having to kind of ball my fabric up into my hand here or pinch it, just because I'm holding this a little bit differently because I'm working it a little bit differently. So any later rows, just kind of keep that in mind that you're going to have to figure out how you're going to hold your fabric in your hand to make it work for you, so that way it looks the nicest that it can. Now, one thing I wanted to point out here is that as you get more fabric, you can either bunch it in your hand like I showed you with the previous example with my smaller example, or as you get farther along, you can slightly turn your work so you're working it in a more traditional fashion. So if I did it, so you could hold it like this. So I'll show you how to hold it by just kind of scrunching the fabric up in your offhand. So I would yarn over, pick up the one loop, pick up the directly parallel one, yarn over, pull through two. Now you got 3 on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2. Now you've got 2 on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2. And you could just keep bunching and folding as you went down. Or you could slightly turn your work, so now you're looking at it in a more traditional fashion, but this has to happen when you get a long ways down, when you have a lot of fabric. These early rows, you almost have to work it this way, how we have been, where you're holding it kind of like this. But as you get farther along, you can turn it. You just have to make sure you're picking up the correct loops. So again, I would yarn over. I would come down in the top of this V to pick up the one loop. I would come down here and pick up this direct opposite or parallel loop right there. I would yarn over, pull through those 2 loops. Now you've got 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Yarn over, pull through 2 loops. So either way works, whatever you're most comfortable with. As I get farther along, I find this way of holding the work is a little bit easier on my hands, and it works a little bit better for me. Total personal preference. So now we're going to get to the end here, and I'll show you how to do the 2 different finishes to the top of this stitch. So once you get to the end of the project where you're using your thermal double crochet stitches, there's a couple of different ways that you can end this project. Most people will tell you to work a regular double crochet stitch through all of the loops here, and I'll show you that start, and then I'll show you how I prefer to end it. So if I were to do a double crochet, I would chain 1, I would yarn over. Now this time, instead of picking up only 1 loop, we are going to actually come back here, and this first one's a little awkward, but we're going to come back here, pick up both loops, come down here, pick up that loop, yarn over. We would pull through 3 of those loops basically. Now you have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And we would continue that way all the way across. So we're coming back here, grabbing both of those loops, coming down here, grabbing the parallel loop, yarn over, pull through all 3. Now there's 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And that's how most people will tell you how to end the thermal double crochet stitch. I think I like it a little bit better by using a single crochet here at the end, and I'll show you what this looks like here with a double crochet finish. So I'll hurry to the end here to show you what this would look like for this edge. And then your very last one, again, it's kind of bunched up in here. We're going through these 2 loops and that loop. So I would yarn over, pick up those 2 loops, come down, pick up that loop, yarn over, pull through the 3 of them, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Now this is what the edge would look like with a regular double crochet. Notice we're getting rid of that ledge there basically by making sure we're picking up both loops. Now I will tell you I actually prefer doing a single crochet instead, so let me show you what that looks like. So to finish this with a single crochet, which is my preferred method, I like to chain 1. Same idea, I'm going to come back here, I'm going to pick up both of those loops, come down here, pick up the parallel loop, I would yarn over, pull through 3 of those loops, That's going to leave me with 2 loops. I would yarn over, pull through both loops, and that would complete 1 single crochet. So again, I'm going to come back here. I'm not yarning over or anything like that. Pick up the 2 loops, pick up the one that's parallel, yarn over, pull through the 3 of them, yarn over, pull through 2. And I would continue doing this across. Now the reason I like this is I feel like it looks a little bit closer to how the start of my project looks. So that's why I like to do the single crochet on the final row instead of a double crochet. Again, total personal preference. Most people will tell you to do a double crochet, and that's fine. Whatever you like the looks of better. That's the beautiful thing about crochet, is you can kind of pick what looks best, what you like the best as well. So I'm going to get here to the end and show you here what that final thing looks like. Oops. And then here I would pick up those 3 here at the very end, yarn over, pull through the 3 of them, yarn over, pull through 2. And so then this is what a single crochet edge looks like. Again, I feel like it just looks a little bit more close to what we started with rather than looking a little bit awkward. And that's how I would complete my thermal double crochet stitch. I hope you guys found this tutorial helpful. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, hit the bell so you get notifications of when I post new videos. If you're wanting to learn how to complete other thermal stitches, check out this video here where I talk about the thermal single crochet, and this video here where I talk about the thermal half double crochet. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I hope you guys have a blessed day.